of that men's water polo team.
Well, you know who sponsored the women's water polo team this year, right? Flavor Flav.
Fun episode, Chris.
Flavor Flav.
Yes, sponsored
Did he
the
really?
team. Yep.
Oh my God, that's awesome.
He's a girl dad, and he's sponsoring women's sports. How cool is that?
Love that.
That's awesome.
Good on you, Flavor Flav. Good on you.
All
right, we'll kick it over to you guys. Y'all have a great show. Always great to see you.
Thank you.
Thanks, guys.
Yep. We'll see you soon.
Hey, Megan.
Hey, Rocky. How's it going?
I know we're separate today, but that's okay. I have my official team. Oh, here it is. Team USA gear. But this is from Team 16 Brazil.
Nice.
Team USA gear from Brazil. It's special to me. We have a special guest today, Megan. How are you?
We do. Before we bring him on, we do want to have a quick program note. Just quick announcement. This is officially our last live show with Texas Sports Unfiltered. We've got a new and exciting opportunity for Fire the Cannon. We'll talk a little bit more about that later. Wanted to put a big thank you to Texas Sports Unfiltered for the opportunity. We're going to rock it out. Have a great time on this show.
Nothing but love for BK and the crew, and we will still jump in. We'll talk about it all later, but we will still jump in and have conversations with them, promote each other. Nothing but love, but we'll talk about it later. Just do a little more independent stuff. But let's hear some music first. Ready?
Absolutely. Let's bring it in. Bring it in.
I think that's beautiful right there. Longhorn Nation, we're back.
All right, Megan, we're back. Let's go ahead and bring in our very, very special guest, our good friend, Kyle Umlang, Mr. Data.
What's up?
Welcome.
Long time no talk, guys.
What a great circle of life, because when we started our podcast, Fire the Cannon, a few years ago, you, Kyle, were not only one of our first guests ever, I think we were your first podcast ever.
Yep.
Welcome back.
Lot less butterflies this time around.
Hey,
we should pull out that old episode. Oh, I'm sure we sounded great.
Hey, Kyle, I got to throw in, you're looking great from your mom's basement. I mean, you really
thanks.
Face up. So appreciate you joining us.
Yeah, I just got a new toilet in the bathroom.
Nice.
Courtesy of my mom.
I just got plumbing up north, Mom. That's always.
I love it. All right. Well, we've got a ton to talk about. Of course, we know we took a little bit of a week off last week with SEC Media Days. We got some to catch up on that. Kyle, of course, we can't have you on here without talking a little bit about rivalries, Texas rivalries, both renewed, old, and some new ones potentially coming up. So you've definitely been stirring the pot there, helping us out. So we'll talk about that. Of course, we've got, again, Texas football, baseball. We're talking a little bit about the Olympics and a ton of Olympics. So, all right, let's rock into it. So, Rocky's over here. Listen, I never let it be said earrings not prepared. She's always got the outfit, always got the look going on. No matter the situation, no matter the sport, you got it covered, girl. I'm proud.
And I won't say I've been wearing my Argentina jersey all day. Because Argentina right now is #1 in the world in men's soccer and men's sevens rugby.
Wow.
So bring home some gold medals, baby.
Must be nice.
Oh, let's all catch up. How you been? Where you been? What's going on?
Nothing. I've been just like you, patiently waiting this off season. Cannot wait for football to start. It is surprisingly gone by fast. It's almost August. So I don't know. I'm ready to kick some SEC ass. That's all.
I love it. I love it.
Megan,
all right.
How you been?
I've been good, man. As you can see, I'm broadcasting from a different area right now, just out of an abundance of precaution, getting over a little bit of the ick. Was sick earlier, and Rocky, you're about to jump off to Ireland, so I certainly don't want to get you sick before you go on your trip. So
nope.
I'm going to apologize in advance if the zoo decides to make their debut. You'll see probably Kevin, the kitten, and the dogs usually like to join in when I'm talking live. So no, but things have been good, man. Rolling and going and staying crazy with the Longhorns and the zoo and work and everything. So Kyle, man, I gotta say it's been a little bit since we've chatted on the podcast. Certainly you're killing it. You're absolutely smashing it, Mr. Data out there. Close to 60,000 followers now. Tell us a little bit about that, man. Like you've been throwing out some stats, pissing Aggies off left and right, and making a lot of Longhorns happy. Tell us about that journey.
So, I mean, y'all all know I started like in 2019, and I was doing mostly Texas stats, and then Aggie Trolls turned me towards doing Aggie Facts, and now I kind of just go where the drama is on the interwebs right now. So, like right after the championship between A&M and Tennessee, we stole their coach, and the Vols were very chummy with the Aggies, and I was not a fan. I was not down with that. So that's when I started Tennessee Fact Tuesday, just to get them all riled up. It's not as fun as Aggies, but it still wastes some time. So
okay, to be fair though, when you started Aggie Fact, like that was already there, right? The rivalry between Texas and Texas had already been brewing for a long time. We're still new, and what I might offer could be a potential new rivalry with Tennessee. Certainly, I think the Vols have the right kind of online presence and online energy to make this a thing as you grow it and piss them off with your nothing but facts stats.
Yeah,
right?
and I'm going to keep doing my due diligence to get them pissed off. So
listen, you're doing the year's work there, Kyle. We appreciate that. So
I tweeted, I wish them the best, and I had so many hate messages.
I know. Listen, you can't win for losing, right? It doesn't matter.
Congrats on your first baseball championship. That's adorable.
No, look. So I have a question. As we're talking about this, looking at some of these potential new rivalries, let's talk a little bit about the Big 12 and rivalries that we are perhaps leaving. Some might call it rivalries, some might not. Let me ask you this. So we know that you've got a ton of engagement with your Aggie information and things like that. Is there a team from the Big 12, as we say, bid them adieu and say goodbye? Is there a team from the Big 12 that you're going to miss?
Tech.
All right.
Their fans on Twitter, they were always down to get dirty and in the comments and just be hilarious. And I will miss the engagement with them. They are a lot of fun.
That's fair.
I made a lot of Red Raider friends in the last couple years, so I will miss them the most.
That's fair. All right. I can say going to the games in person, that's not a fan base I particularly.
I would never step foot in Lubbock, but online they're a hoot.
You draw a line somewhere, that's for sure.
I would never do that.
I love it. Rocky, how about you? Is there a fan base or a team that you're going to miss interacting with, or nope. Bye, boy, bye.
A few years ago, I would have said West Virginia. I've had fun there, and they were great hosts before they had put up a few wins against Texas. Before they were actually excited to be part of the Big 12, wanted, we talk about this all the time. How many schools say Texas is their rival, and now we're in the new conference, and already we're the most hated, and we haven't even got there yet. Texas, we'll talk about it in a minute, but Texas goes to SEC Media Days, and all they're saying is we're going to earn our respect. We respect our opponent. Texas is okay. So anyway, you throw a big party, and anyway. So I would have said a few years ago I was going to kind of miss West Virginia because the moonshine and the spirit, but they went a different direction with their fandom and got ugly. So I'm not going to miss anybody that I can think of. Who are you going to miss, Megan?
That's fair. I got to say, Stillwater used to be one of my very favorite places to play in the Big 12. Stillwater, you can have a lot of fun there. Again, agreed, towards the end of the reign, of the participation in the Big 12, fans started getting pretty nasty. The last couple of trips we had at Stillwater, they were just literally they were picking up seat cushions and throwing them at players and stuff like that, to the point where players were taking them with us because, we won the last time we were in Stillwater and walking away with those cushions. And so I don't know. I mean, I will miss the old days of Stillwater. And I will say Ames was always a fun place to go. Yes, you have some run-ins every now and again, but for the most part, I enjoyed Ames, Iowa, of all places, right? So yeah, but definitely, certainly looking forward to the new destinations, the SEC, a little bit more travel per se. Tiger King would say, I'm never going to financially recover from this, but I think it'll be fun looking forward. Kyle, so let's say that looking forward, we've talked a little bit about Tennessee. We're going to ask the question that I am absolutely sick of and would be fine not hearing again, but we do have to ask it. Is there such thing as a real UT? And if so, why is it Texas?
No, there's not such thing as a real UT. But if you want to piss them off, claim that Texas is the real UT, and that will get your Elon bucks rolling. Trust me.
Listen, I think we've just unlocked the key to your getting that Tennessee Facts Tuesday going, right? It's just start the real UT conversation.
To me, I'd rather be Texas.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Rather be Texas than UT.
Yeah, we
Every day
are
of the
Texas.
week.
Everyone calls us Texas. No one calls us
They
UT.
can have UT.
Right, yeah.
We
but
are Texas.
it is fun to get them pissed off
Oh,
before
yeah,
we even
to rile them up.
in the conference. Yeah. So I could not care less about the UT debate. It's just that was the hubbub on Twitter a couple weeks ago, and so I just wanted to throw my hat in the ring and see what happens.
No, I love it, man. I love it. And I think
Everyone is so pissed off.
It is. It seems like a very sensitive subject for them.
Yeah.
They seem very worried about it, right? But I definitely, I don't care. I'm in y'all's side. Like I'm on y'all's camp here, saying I'd rather be called Texas. We are Texas.
Yeah.
I've said UT a few times, and we have the interlocking logo and stuff like that. But for the most part, like we're Texas.
Yeah,
We've run campaigns on that.
Texas is a better brand name than anything else. It's Texas.
Agreed.
Even when I hear announcers talking the game, when I hear announcers and they'll say, "Oh, Tex something UT," we're not UT, we're Texas. It drives me crazy even when I hear announcers say UT. I'm like, yes, technically yes, but we're Texas.
Yeah.
So the UT
I wonder, for me, I wonder if this is going to fall into the camp of, we all are sick of, at least I personally am sick of the horns down conversation.
Yeah.
Texas fans I know don't care.
No.
I think most people.
No one cares.
Exactly.
But every July, it gets brought up in the news. It's like it is an evergreen topic to bring up in the offseason. Always.
Yes.
For clicks.
Yes.
And it works every time.
I'm telling you, I feel like is Texas the real UT? Is Tennessee the real UT?
Yeah, that is the new horns down. Yeah.
Yes, it's the new horns down, and it's going to be on par, at least for me, with level of annoyance. Like, we don't care. Just pick it and move on. Like, it doesn't bother any of us. Let's go.
Right.
So, no, I love that. I love that. All right. Well, talking about this, what are you looking forward to? I mean, we talk rivalries. We know, of course, A&M's the big one. Are there any rivalries that you foresee coming up?
LSU. I got really fired up in 2019 when they were over on the sideline stealing our water at the warm-ups before the game, and how we got this close to beating Burrow, but we decided to blitz on like 3rd and 17 for some reason.
Well, the cramps were what really sent them over, right?
Yeah, and so I was always really excited to follow up with that in 2020 with a trip to Death Valley, and like I had my plans already. My brother lived there. I was just going to bunk with him, and we were going to go to the game. It was going to be a hoot, and the COVID stuff happened, so never happened. But I really thought that was going to become a kind of a rivalry, LSU and Texas, because they were really angry about our DBU shirts.
I remember that. I agree. It was something that was kind of funny with that. But I will say, I've always said this. I feel, now full disclosure, I dated a guy for a long time that's from Louisiana, went to LSU. I've been to, LSU games. I've enjoyed myself there. Granted, it hasn't necessarily been when we've been playing them. So I know the fan base can be completely different then, but I'm looking forward to that one in the sense that I think it's going to be a party. I've always said that I feel like Texas and LSU are cousins. We just cook different, right? And so I'm looking forward to that. I'm looking forward to the Cajun food. I'm looking forward to the tailgating with them. But yeah, there's definitely a little bit of saltiness, a little bit of spiciness on their end too. So it'll be interesting. Rocky, how about you? Do you think there's going to be a new rivalry coming in? What do you foresee in the SEC?
I still think it's going to OU and A&M are going to be the big ones. I hope that those are the good petty games that people look forward to, but I hope they don't define our season. I hope it's Georgia that defines our season. I hope it's when we have to play Alabama. I hope the big dogs define our season. Like, yes, those are excited. The fan bases are going to love those games, but please don't let those games define our season. We need to be competing. We need to be in the Georgia, Alabama, Texas conversation. The three of us should be tier 1, and maybe Ole Miss or pops their head, or Auburn pops their head, or even maybe OU or the Aggies pop their head in every now and then. But to me, I want us to be Georgia, Texas, Alabama, and then, or Texas, Georgia, Alabama, and then mid-tier people, and then the Vanderbilts and the Mississippi State. They can do whatever. Probably Florida this year. They can do whatever. But I would love us to be there are rivalries to be now who defines who goes to championships. Like for years, it was the Aggies and the Texas who goes to the championship. Oklahoma dominated for a while, and that matchup with Oklahoma decided who was going on and representing the conference and championships at the postseason big bowl games. I would like that to be Texas now in that conversation. Georgia, Alabama. So, but yeah, Arkansas, Texas A&M, Oklahoma, they'll still be. Well, we hate it. We're everyone's rival.
Yeah.
Literally
Look,
everyone.
I've got to say, for me as a Texas fan, I see OU, of course, as our rival.
Yeah.
I see A&M as an in-state rival. That hasn't changed whether we're in the same conference or not. That'll never change. Those to me are who I really identify as Texas's rivals. I certainly think Arkansas. I'm in the camp of calling Arkansas a rival just for history. I know, Rocky, you feel a little differently about that. But I think that renewed rivalry is going to be one that's heated. I don't know that I'm looking forward to it, but for history's sake, that's going to be a rivalry that I think comes back full force. It's going to be crazy. Just the atmospheres are going to be nuts every time.
And the good thing about Arkansas is like in football, they remind me of like the SEC Texas Tech. But athletic department wise, they're nothing like Tech. They actually win championships, and I look forward to meeting them in different sports in big games.
Right.
Because right now, them and like Florida are like the top two athletic departments in the SEC. So I would like to wedge our way in there.
Tennessee's up there too with the top athletic department, men and women.
Well, with Texas coming in, again, with the Directors Cup, I feel pretty confident in Texas's ability to compete on a consistent level across all athletics for sure. If we're picking like a new rival, because to me, I'm not going to include Arkansas. I'm not going to include A&M because they've always been, to me, rivals of Texas. I got to say, I'm looking forward to that A&M, or excuse me, to the LSU games. But I don't know. Again, for me, LSU feels right now like it's going to be more of a, hey, we're cousins getting together. We try to tell y'all the Aggies were nuts. Y'all have had to deal with them for years, right? So we might be able to bond over that. But I really feel like this Tennessee thing could really pick up and turn into a perhaps more of a one-sided rivalry. There might be a little more vitriol on one side than the other side, right? But I see Tennessee, games up in Knoxville and coming down to Austin. I see that being something that's brewing pretty big.
Yeah, I'm just happy to be like more in my neck of the woods now for away games, because like Vanderbilt, Tennessee, Kentucky, those are all like 5 hours or less for me.
Yeah, it's a hop and a skip.
I'll be at all those ones.
Love it.
Okay, so you'll be at in Nashville for the Vandy game in October.
Yep.
We will be there too.
I love this, Lawson. That's a great. Vols are really trying to make that happen. That
They
is
are. They wasted no time jumping to find Texas Twitter. They wasted no time. So good for them. I hope they have plenty of time to do that.
No,
the best thing I like about all these SEC Twitter folk that like don't like Texas, like I'll post a stat that's like most national championships in the last 10 years, and I'll list all the SEC teams and Texas at the top, and then I'll get some comments like, yeah, but they were competing in the little 12 and I'm like, national championships are against everyone in the nation, right? You competed against the same ones as we did.
Right. Yeah. And thanks for that weighing in, Vanderbilt. We appreciate the very timely stuff from them.
Yeah. Well, you mentioned it, the championships, like Texas going in has accumulated in the last few years. Even though Texas football was down across the board, sports have still been pretty successful in the last few years. Now that we're leaving the Big 12, what stats to you just stand out as bye Big 12 and we're taking these with us?
Okay. I got a few of my favorites pulled up.
Yes.
Okay. So Texas got 14 Big 12 championships this last athletic season. Kansas State has 14 total since 1996.
Since the inception of the Big 12.
Yeah. And counting every Big 12 championship that's ever happened, tournament and regular season for the last 20-something years, every sport, Texas has won 28% of those, and we don't even compete in 3 of the sports.
That's insane.
Wow. There you
Okay,
go.
what else we got? Okay, we got so y'all saw that I posted like everyone's total Big 12 championships. Texas has 232, and then Oklahoma State is second with 96. Like that kind of dominance, I don't think we're going to see that in any other conference besides the Big 12. So I will miss that. Just being able to win by 10 plus championships every year. Texas earned 9 Big 12 Coach of the Year awards from the Big 12 last year. 9. Some schools haven't had 9 in their history across all sports. Big 12 championships. The state of Oklahoma, 189. All past Big 12 members combined, 168. The entire state of Texas, not including the Longhorns, 142. The University of Texas, 232. More than all those people.
So we're not just winning; we're blowing them out of the water.
Right. But you know, we are a swimming school. We're at everything school, so people will come in with the comments like, "Yeah, but those are all just counting swimming and whatever." And so then I'll post something like this: Big 12 championships, not counting swimming and diving, or golf, or volleyball, or tennis. Texas still has 11 more championships than Oklahoma, if you take out all those sports.
Yeah.
Yep. And also, what's so bad about having swimming and diving championships?
Right. We're about to watch the Olympics where everyone's cheering for our swimmers in the Olympics. I'm like, guys, that is a sport. You're cheering for this sport, so don't
an Olympic sport.
Don't come and tell me you don't care about it.
Yeah. It is pretty bonkers. All right, let me ask you this. Maybe this is a little bit out of left field, but if you had to compare, and again, I apologize for Toro sticking his big nose in the screen. If you had to compare, teams leaving, like we're leaving the Big 12. So if you had to compare Big 12 teams with SEC teams, can you make some comparisons statistically, kind of who lines up with who? You were mentioning like Texas Tech, right? Who is the Texas Tech of SEC?
That actually is a great question that I'm going to have to dive into on my own time, and I'll post about it. But
I love it.
That's a great question. Yeah, I would like to see. But I would say like Vanderbilt and Tech are pretty lined up. They have decent baseball, not really much anything else.
Yeah, Vandy's got great baseball, and you got to give Tech credit. I mean, they are consistently there in the baseball field. Look, I want to point out, CB, you mentioned this a little bit earlier. I saw this before we were coming on. The top softball prospect, won Player of the Year last year, just committed to Tech. She was in the transfer portal and just committed to Tech in softball.
Dang.
Yeah, that was one that I think Texas certainly had their eyes on. So credit to Tech. I mean, in that sense, they're certainly working on building some programs, but haven't quite reached that level of success consistently to be, in my opinion, top tier with the Power 4 schools now.
Yeah. Well, the good thing about us leaving is I think it opens up for more schools in the Big 12 to actually win some championships, because it was pretty top heavy with us in Oklahoma in there. So
agreed.
It'll be nice to see West Virginia come out and win something. I don't know.
Soccer, right?
I don't know what they're good at. Soccer. I don't know.
I've got to say this.
It'd be nice seeing other championships.
Yeah, I really like this alignment. I know that there's a lot of conversation about, oh God, this realignment, conference realignment is kind of ruining college football. I definitely think that, moving some teams with the dissipation of the Pac-12 and going into the Big 10, that doesn't make a whole lot of sense to me. Texas and OU going to the SEC does make sense to me. I'm aware that I've got burnt orange bias here, but I think, to your point, Kyle, that the Big 12 is going to be a really exciting conference. I'm not willing yet to say they're going to be, on the same level as the SEC.
Yeah.
I don't think that, but it's going to be a fun conference to watch. Yeah. I think the teams that are in there complement each other well, and it's going to be a battle. It's a lot more even, a lot more parity, right? I'm right there with you, man. I think that's awesome.
Well, when we think about it, like if you take Texas and Oklahoma out, football this year, we'll make our conference picks before you go. So we won't give that one away yet, the football pick. But what do you like with Texas out of the volleyball? Who's up to win that championship? With the top 2 softball teams,
right? Yeah,
who's up to win that championship? Like you're saying, it's wide open now. Kansas will still dominate men's basketball probably, but with Texas women and Oklahoma out, who's going to compete? Probably Kansas State, maybe in the women's basketball. So we'll see. It's going to be exciting. It is more open for more people to start accumulating. But this is cool. Lawson said, is it possible that who holds the most all-time Big 12 championships could still be Texas in 25 years?
Yes.
How far away Texas ahead is from everyone else?
Yeah. Well, I mean, with the rate of people winning when Texas was in it, it'd be near impossible for them to ever get anywhere near that. But now that Texas is gone and those 14 championships are up for grabs, I could see Oklahoma State doing it in like 20-something years, but not before 20-something years. It's going to be a while.
That's
So-
quite a stat. We're gonna be haunting you for 20 years, Big 12. You thought
And don't worry, I will be at the end of every year. I will still put Texas 232, and then I'll still rank them
I love
until
it.
we're not in the top spot anymore.
That's the kind of petty that I am here for, Kyle. I live for
Love
that.
it.
I love it.
Love
All
it.
right. Well, we're talking about this. I think it's fair to say, even in this conversation, I think it's fair to say Texas fans get called arrogant a lot, right? We get this, oh, we've got this attitude. I'm not saying that's necessarily untrue. I don't think it's unfounded, but I also think there's reason for us to be, right? With that attitude, with all these new quote unquote rivalries coming up, with the new saltiness and spiciness that we're seeing. Do you think it's fair to say that Texas is considered a villain through and through?
Yes, we are 100% the villain. I love being the villain.
Yeah,
it's so much fun because that's all people talk about. It's all people care about at SEC Media Days. Almost every single Oklahoma player that was interviewed was asked about Texas. Every coach that was interviewed was asked about Texas. The Georgia quarterback, whatever his name is, Beck. Well, I don't remember his name. He was asked what his thoughts are on Quinn Ewers. Like everyone is Texas. So I love being in that seat. I would rather be in that seat than, oh yeah, Oklahoma's joining Texas in that seat too, aren't they? I would rather much be in our seat than them because they're an afterthought, and they're a huge brand. So that's saying something if you can dwarf Oklahoma's athletic department.
Look, agreed. I think that the Texas media bias is certainly there, but not in the way that people like to accuse it of being, right? Like,
You got Aggie saying that the media increases all of our recruits' stars and then decreases all their. Yeah, that stuff is nonsense. But I will say, if it's either a story about Vanderbilt volleyball or a dog was on the Texas campus and bit someone, like that is going to make the headlines because
or a monkey,
Texas.
perhaps.
Yeah. Oh, I hope we never have another monkey story.
We talk about Texas being the villain, being hated, and it came out a few times this week in SEC Media Days that these fans admit, and we talk about this all the time, Megan. They hate Texas more than they love themselves.
Yeah.
An Aggie player admitted that, yeah, Aggie fans probably do hate Texas more than they love themselves. And then the OU, what's his name?
Stutzman,
yeah, thank you. Stutzman said he has a Longhorn tattoo, and it's not horns up. Who goes? Have you ever met one Longhorn who goes to get an OU tattoo and put it upside down, or an Aggie tattoo and put it upside down? No, because that's hating.
That's also extreme. I wouldn't even buy a cup with OU on it for $5 just to turn it. Like they will buy everything Texas.
Even when people see it on the shelf and they go turn it upside down and they go and they post a picture, welcome to third grade, child. Like that's just so silly. But to personally put it on your body, a Longhorn upside down,
that will never happen. No Texas player will ever. I will say never on that. That will never happen.
Yeah. What about also one of the OU players said, because it's billboard material time. Yeah. The A&M offensive line, Trey Zoon said, for Texas, they're going to bring everything you've got. You're not going to stand a chance.
Oh,
he said that.
I gotta get that quote.
Texas won't stand a chance.
I gotta bookmark that.
Yeah, look,
I'll send you the link.
I look for this kind of stuff. Like Kyle, I think you've been really good at recalling when, teams go in and put the horns down, the infamous horns down curse. Yeah. Again, fans don't give a shit about it, but I think it's pretty funny when you see the horns down and then moments later, do the SpongeBob flash forward. Moments later, their team is very sad and losing. Yeah. So I don't know. I feel like this is going to you're going to see that more and more. I hope the curse flows through and continues to play out. What's the wildest one that you've seen of that, Kyle? Like what sticks to your head as like, oh man, that was just a crazy moment of the horns down curse from teams?
Okay, probably have two. I think it was last year with Oklahoma baseball in Texas. They were up like
it was like 8-1 or 9-1.
Yeah, it was like 9-1 going into like the seventh. Mm-hmm. And there's a famous picture of the guy doing horns down. Then it switches to the ninth inning and horns are up like 12-7 or whatever. Yeah. And he's just sad. That one, and then the all-time best one is the Texas Tech from like 4 years ago.
Yeah.
I still don't understand how we scored like 20 points in a minute, but
it was.
I think you're pretty safe with that horns down. It was, I still don't know how that happened, but that was the best one.
Megan and I were at that game. It was COVID year.
Yeah.
Megan and I were at that game, and oh man, Texas with Sam Ellinger, like Texas was supposed to come in and take care of business, and we were down 18 points with 6 or 7 minutes left, whatever it was, and so we were getting the heat from the fans, the students. Our seats were kind of up above the student section. We were getting the heat.
I bet.
And from some adults who should know better up ahead of us, yelling some ugly shit. But here comes, get to overtime, win it in overtime. And we're like, never a doubt, never a doubt.
Never was worried. Yeah.
Oh, but it got ugly on the way out, because if Tech fans, if the joy that they had and the bile that they had while they were winning, multiply that by 1,000 when they lost that game.
Well, again, like you said, I mean, teams love to hate Texas. A lot of times they love to hate Texas more than they love themselves. So I think that fits that narrative pretty well. You know, so Kyle, like, let's bring this in. So we talked about your success on social media. You've really built a brand for yourself, you know, got a ton of followers. Have you had wild encounters in person? Has there been situations where people recognize you and do they do well?
Anytime I go to a game, I'll hear "Cool!" and just from across the stadium in a big line, I'll see someone do this, and I'll do it back to them or whatever. And then I'll have random people text me, "Hey, I just saw you at the game. Come meet me, and I'll buy you a beer," or something like that. It's not always Texas fans. At the Houston game, it was like 50-50 Houston and Texas fans that would say hi to me. At the A&M game, I know there's gonna be a lot of Aggies coming to say stuff to me. They might not all be nice.
Are you paying for security for that game?
No, but Billy Lucci did say he wanted to like meet up before and maybe get like a photo op to like get some Elon bucks or whatever, get the engagement going.
to fight? Question mark.
No, that'd be awesome if we had a boxing match. I heard someone say that. Yeah, that'd be fun. I would do that.
Yeah, you should.
I mean, you're pretty fit. You work out a lot, so.
I mean, you're talking about the Elon bucks, right? Why not do the Elon? What was it? The Elon and Zuckerberg supposed fight that was supposed to happen.
What the
people really want is Umlang versus Lucci. I'm just saying.
Yeah, that would get some money.
I think there needs to be. Oh, sorry. Go ahead, Kyle.
Oh no, I already forgot what I was gonna say. It's gone.
Oh, sorry. I was going to say it's hard when we're all on different screens now. I think that we should do I'm never at the Red River rivalry, so you guys do this, but have like a tug of war of like the Texas Twitter against OU Twitter, and have like a massive tug of war into like shit mud, and and the winner just
where's that throughout the game?
No matter what happened in the game, there needs to be like a Twitter tug of war at the Cotton Bowl. Yep.
Yeah.
Anyway,
that's it has a whole new meaning now.
All right. This is another thing. Speaking of social media and all the craziness, CB wants to know, and we know you do, have lots of fake Kyle accounts. You remember you created a picture of those accounts.
Oh yeah. There's like, I think the number's up to like 16 or 17.
Impressive.
Fake Kyle accounts?
Yeah, fake Kyle accounts.
What's your favorite one? Give us your favorite fake Kyle.
This one is like one of the first ones, but gay or Kyle Umlang has always been a hoot because, I mean, it's insinuating that I'm already gay, so that's what makes it funny.
It's outdoing you on the gay.
And then they also put my Pride Month avatar on it so it all ties together. I kind of like that one a lot.
That's clever.
Yeah.
Respect it. Hey, listen, they say, what is it? What's the sincerest form of flattery? Why am I losing the phrase? You know what I'm talking about.
Imitation
is the most sincere form of flattery. Thank you. So, you know, you definitely get some love. Now, let me ask you this. Outside of the game experience, you know, outside of UT games, have you had folks like come up to you and be like, yo, Kyle Umlang, what's up? Have you ever had any weird encounters like that? Or
Yeah, the pharmacist at the local CVS, we would always just talk shop. And then one day he goes like, dude, how come you didn't tell me you're a big guy on Twitter? He goes, we could have been talking more. I was like, we literally talk about sports anytime I come in here. So
every time I see you, man.
Yeah.
Also, I feel like that's a weird thing to lead with. Hi, my name's Kyle. I'm a big deal on Twitter.
here for my
Mr. Pharmacist, he saw your name on your prescription.
Yeah, I'm like, you didn't connect.
Are you not using your real name?
Yeah.
No, I'm just kidding. Yeah, that's crazy. All right. So tell us too, CB mentioned also that he has all your books, all these amazing Aggie facts that you've been accumulating. And thank you, because you're always so kind to send Megan and me and other friends signed copies. So we have our little collection too.
Yeah.
Tell us about the book and what's happening. Where's number 4? What's happening? 1, 2, 3. Tell us.
Okay. So I have had a lot of requests for, like the ones I have now are paperback. They're pretty thin. So I'm creating a hardback, like entire treasury collection, and it has 425 facts in it, and it's gonna be pretty awesome. It's gonna come out in like a couple weeks, but it's like this thick. It's pretty cool.
Oh, mine are downstairs. I should have remembered.
I love it.
I
had them ready. Yeah, had them ready. So okay, so hardback coming up. That's cool. Where can folks
hardback, and it'll be all of them together. So
that's awesome.
So it'll be a collector's item for anyone who likes Aggie facts.
That's amazing.
And all the facts are up to date as of like today. So they're ready for the season. That's awesome.
So do you have to go back and kind of check the books like that you've previously published and say, oh, this is now outdated, or like this isn't? How many does that happen often, or are the Aggie facts pretty true as far as?
I would say 85 to 90% of them are the exact same every year because Aggies suck. But
things don't change. All right, fair.
Schloss going to A&M kind of ruined a bunch of good baseball ones I had, or I've had to like change the wording or make it a different metric or something. But like I had to like change out a bunch of baseball ones in the last 3 years. But besides that, they're all the same.
Yeah, that's
Aggies
awesome.
Suck.
So let me ask this. So you've had a lot of success with your Aggie facts, books, going through the volumes.
Yeah.
Do you have a plan in the future for other books, like focusing maybe like Texas facts that are in fact like?
I actually have like, I did start a Texas one. It's like 101 Texas facts, things every Aggie should know.
Yeah.
But they're all just positive Texas stuff and negative stuff. So, but I'm just too lazy. It's still like halfway done. I probably won't do it.
I don't know that lazy is the right term there, bud. You've got a lot going on for you.
I'm too busy.
A 4th book.
You have a lot.
Your publicity tours. You stay pretty busy, my friend.
Yeah, but I might do I was thinking of doing like a all Big 12 encompassing one, or an all SEC encompassing one, or something. Where I talk about all the different schools, but no school is going to get their own book like A&M does.
Or maybe Texas.
Right? Oh yeah, Texas.
No, I love that. No, I think an SEC book would be really fun to look at and see the stats and the comparisons. Like, you always come up with the craziest stuff. So tell us about that. Like, how do you come up with your ideas of stats to present, or different takes on things? How do you come up with that?
Like before, if I saw someone ask an interesting question that there wasn't an answer for, I would like bookmark it and say, oh, when I have free time, I'll go back and look it up and see if it's even possible to find the answer. Mm-hmm. That's how I used to do it. And now it's like, I've done so many things. I have so many folders of data just sitting there. I can really just do whatever I want, whenever I want. And just, if you just say anything, I can figure it out. So now it's just like, now I got to decide like what is like a current event, or what do people want to know like right now, like UT versus like Tennessee versus Texas stuff would be good. And I went and it took me like 5 seconds to find it because I had already done all the compiling. But the only sport they beat us head to head in is basketball. Everything else is all Texas.
Now they
with our old coach.
Yeah, I mean, that's what I was going to say. They beat us in basketball. How many of those wins came from our old coach, from Coach Barnes, to skew in their favor for sure? So, no, I love that. All right, well,
remember, I had a stat for you that I wanted you to find, and you probably forgot because it was years ago that we talked about it.
Tell me, and I'll find it after the show. What is it?
It's kind of one that might be out of the realm. So we talked about how a lot of coaches up north, like Big Ten coaches, Ohio State, Notre Dame, Michigan, they use this cold weather, theory, like you got to train in the cold and play in the cold and come to college in the cold to really prepare for the NFL, right? That's the recruiting, thing that they use, as if to try to flip. Nobody wants to live up there in that cold. So what percentage of NFL games, because you take half of them are in a stadium already, right? indoors, what percentage of NFL games are actually played in freezing or below?
Yeah,
Right,
I would say like
I
5%.
would think a small percent, right? So at some point, we need to kick this narrative that you got to go to Ohio State or Michigan to prep for the NFL as far as weather conditions to make you so tough. When half the games are fancy new $4 billion stadiums indoors, and the other half are September, October. It's not freezing yet. Maybe November. Anyway, so look that up for me sometime.
Yeah, I will. That is
okay. But I feel like the argument here, like I do understand you talk about historically football weather and you think of a cool, crisp, like fall day. Now, if you're a Texas fan, that is not your experience for 90% of your games, right? Like, no question about that. But I can appreciate the argument of like, oh, when I associate fall weather and I associate football weather, I'm thinking of cooler weather. I don't know that I certainly don't agree with the take that like you have to play in the freezing to be ready for the NFL. Like, I think it's more, I would be willing to bet that more outdoor games are played in crazy heat than they are in freezing cold. So to me, it's almost like Texas and the South kind of climate is a better benchmark, is a better trainer for intense competition. I mean, hell, we talked about it with Alabama when they came a couple years ago, right? We were talking with the Finkleys, and I remember Mama Finkley saying, girl, this is a different kind of heat. This Texas heat is different. The sun hits differently because Alabama's hot. Alabama's humid, but playing in DKR in September.
In Texas, the sky is bigger. There's more sun. There's more sun coming down.
Well, we're closer to the equator too, right? It is. It's more intense, and we're still humid. We're not some arid climate like people think. So I don't know. I think I'd flip that. I appreciate the thinking that football weather is cooler weather, but I would argue that hot weather is really what trains you.
I was going to say, I have ran 5 marathons. I have never trained in the summer because it's too hot.
Because you don't want to die.
You will die.
Yeah.
You can't run 26 miles in July. But so I think playing in the cold would be fun every now and then because like your body raises like 10, 13 degrees every time you're active anyway. So like I could see it being just comfortable playing cold weather as a football player than playing in 100-degree heat.
Bounces that. I always love that. Look, for me as a Lions fan, as a Texans fan, like I want to see a game in Lambeau in the snow. That's bucket list for me for sure. But I mean, I can appreciate, I always loved watching it as a kid. You know, when the players have their helmets off and their head is just like steaming because it's freezing outside, but they're comfortable in shorts and, you know, and they're, crazy. I don't know. I love it. All right. Well, we will continue this debate for sure. What is real football weather? What conditions you better? I love that. But
we're all over the place. That's awesome.
I know. Hey, that's what we do here. We just have a good time. We talk about
it. I just love talking to you guys.
I know. I told Kyle, here's some things we might or might not talk about. Let's just go.
And for those listening, this is literally how it is before football games. I'm just sitting next to them or standing next to them talking literally about the same stuff. We just pick up where we live off.
So tell us, you mentioned that before games. When are you going to be in Austin for the big SEC kickoff? What's happening?
I don't know. I've got a busy fall. I've got like 2 weddings to go to. I'm trying to see if it's possible to go, but I'm going to a couple away games, so I think that'll have to.
They're not real friends.
People who get married on a football day.
Yeah, I know.
They get married football season. Get them out of your life. You don't need that.
But I've got a ticket for the Michigan game. I have been promised handfuls of tickets for the A&M game from random people. So I will be at those 2 for sure. It's not Austin, but I will be 100% be at the A&M game. I've already told my parents, hey, I'm coming down there for Thanksgiving. I will be at the house. I'm going to drive to College Station Saturday for the game.
Now tell me this, how what's your dad going to be sporting? Because again, we know you're named after Kyle Field, right? Your dad's a big guy.
So before all the books came out, I would ask him if I was named after Kyle Field. He'd say, like it just depended on his mood. He would just make up a story or whatever. And now, since the Aggie Vax, it's 100%. Yeah, Kyle Field. I named
1,000%. That's where it came from.
So I don't know the actual truth, but he will say forever now that it's after the stadium.
That's fair.
You and Kyler Murray.
So tell me, is what colors will your dad be sporting? Because we saw him at Houston, and he, bless his Aggie heart, he had on the burnt orange. He was sporting Texas in that game.
Yeah, he has no loyalty to anyone but A&M. So if it's Texas versus anyone, he'll root for Texas. If it's A&M versus anyone, he'll root for A&M. If it's Texas and A&M, it's definitely A&M, and that's the one time he will not root for Texas.
That's fair. I
So
respect.
I'm like that's fair because I don't root for Aggies regardless of the sport, regardless of the year, anything. So that is big of him to do that.
Let me ask you this. All right, so I went to the Cotton Bowl where Johnny Manziel was with A&M and it was against OU. I had to choose. I went with a friend. I made a shirt. I'll release it. I probably shouldn't release this because I'm sure it's going to blow back on me. But let me ask you that. So in that scenario, who do you root for?
You just go in a white t-shirt.
I'm just there to get drunk and watch some football. I don't really care who wins. I just want to see something cool.
Yeah,
I don't care. It doesn't matter to me.
White t-shirt.
That's fair.
Yeah. I'll be wearing burnt orange probably.
So I made a burnt orange t-shirt that said "Hook 'em Aggies," and then on the back of it, it said "At least they're Texans." Right? Like
That is true. But
I was rooting for A&M, and
that's terrible, Megan.
I was
terrible.
You're a
my favorite thing though is I was in my burnt orange. It very clearly said "Hook 'em Aggies." Right?
No, it's terrible.
I was with my Aggie buddy. No, let me finish it. I was with my Aggie buddy, so I was like trying to support his team too. It's cool. I kind of looked at it like you remember the shirt that A&M made for Texas during the
with the band-aids on the
only. I love that shirt. I'm here for that. I think it's great. So I had that shirt on, right? I cannot tell you the number of Aggies that immediately they see the shirt and instead of seeing red, they see burnt orange and they just lose their shit without reading it. Without is it "Hook 'em Aggies"? It was like as big as it could be. I had so many people. What are you even doing here? Why are you wearing that? I'm like, I'm literally reading must not be your strong suit today.
Anyone who buys a ticket can come to watch this game.
Yeah. So, now again, I will make this argument all day, every day. Had A&M stayed in the Big 12 that season with Manziel, they would have won a natty.
I know they would have won a natty. They would have been number one in the Big 12, and
they beat Alabama that year.
Sorry,
they did. They beat Alabama that year. They blew the doors off of OU that year, and OU was dominant in the Big 12 in 2012. Yeah. So
I mean, the only real and I don't know who their second loss was to, but their first loss was to Florida on their very first game in the SEC. And I think there was like a questionable call towards the end that it could have gone either way, but like it was close.
Right.
So and then
you could overcome that with wins later in the season. Again,
right. But how hilarious though that A&M, who's not touched, sniffed, poked at a picture of a natty since 1939, that they would have won a natty or gotten close many, many years in a row if they had not left.
Yeah.
So I think that is hilarious.
Yeah.
They haven't even sniffed a conference championship in football. Competed for a conference championship in football. All right, so let's look ahead because we only have 10 more minutes with you. We know you have a hard stop at 5, and then Megan and I are going to talk Olympics and baseball and all the top stories. So let's kind of look ahead to SEC. We talked a bit about the SEC media days and some of the the stories that were coming out. We saw it was Jahdae Barron, Calvin Banks, Quinn Ewers there with Sark. Texas had all the hype, all the attention. Apparently, Quinn had the biggest crowd of all the media around him. Texas, all the question is Texas SEC ready? We see they're coming into the conference with 14 5-stars. Most people have them ranked nationally in the top 5. Within the SEC, top 2, 3 within the SEC. Our buddies just before us picked SEC Unfiltered. Picked Texas to finish number 1 this season. Kyle, you know all the numbers. You know all the stats. Is Texas SEC ready?
Yes, they will be in the championship game. I hope they can win it, but I'm not going to kill myself if they don't, because that's a huge accomplishment first year. But I'm fairly certain they will be in the championship game. They have, I don't know how many 5-star recruits on the team. They have 0 freshman starters next year. It's going to be all upperclassmen. When's the last time you saw that?
Wingo might be a starter by the 4th or 5th game.
Right, but I'm talking about going into the season start Ryan Williams could earn a spot and do that for sure. And someone can get hurt. But I'm just saying going in, it's usually a roster that's like half freshman, half upperclassmen. And you're like, oh, well, we're a young team. Don't let the season upset you. It's a young team, but this is a strong, good upper class team. Lots of talent. Recruiting still on fire. We have been gifted one of the easiest schedules in the SEC based on coming out of the worst decade or few years after that of not being good. So that's chess right there, folks. Getting the weakest schedule as we were the best team we've had in a long time. That's
The timing for Texas is perfect.
That equals SEC championship game appearance. So we will be there.
Absolutely.
All right. So do you have so Georgia comes to Texas? That will be the toughest as far as roster against roster. We get them at home, which is good. Are you making a prediction yet on who wins that game?
I don't think it matters who wins that game. It'll be a close game, probably by a field goal or 7. As one score or under. I don't think it matters who wins it because they will be back to face each other probably in the championship game. So I don't really care who wins. I mean, I want Texas to win, but I won't be upset if they lose barely.
All right. I love that. All right. I've got a question for you, Kyle. Rocky and I have debated this. We've gone back and forth. We each have our opinions on it. Do you feel like that there are any trap games on Texas's schedule? And if so, who do you think the trap games are going to be?
Arkansas is always a trap game. You see them time and time again give Aggies hell every single year. Barely losing to them, but they always come to play when it's Texas or A&M. So I think Arkansas is a trap game. But besides that, what we can handle Mississippi State. Oklahoma is always Oklahoma.
Right.
Georgia, we have home field advantage. It'll be close. Vandy is Vandy.
Yeah, I wouldn't call OU a trap game because we know that's a rivalry.
Yeah. I'm just saying. There's the OU game. We know what's going to happen. Like we know who they are. It's not. We'll be prepared for whatever they bring. Florida, it's at home. Yeah, it's Arkansas. Arkansas is the trap game.
I appreciate that. Yeah, that's my take on it too. Yeah, Rocky, who you have as a trap?
Oh, I've said it. Kentucky's the trap game. Coming off that schedule, looking ahead to the last of the season, Kentucky can ball. They have NFL talent too. I just say don't take them lightly. And getting them at home, Texas might be a little more relaxed. I think when Texas goes on the road, especially under Sark, they have that embrace the hate mentality. And we saw Calvin Banks even say, we like being on the road. We enjoy the hate. They've learned how to embrace that. So I think they feed off the hate more. If they're comfortable at home after that, long road they just had and looking ahead too quickly, that's why I think Kentucky could be the one that they better be dialed in.
Convince me. I can see it.
Yeah.
Respectable. I appreciate it. All right. So again, we'll talk a little bit about the Texas football. Are there any, you are the stat king. Are there any players or any position groups that you're going to say, man, these guys have the chance to be statistical leaders. These guys have the chance to break some records. Is there anybody that you've got your eye on or any particular group you've got your eye on?
Wide receiver room is always open to break records. Xavier Worthy was really close to breaking a bunch of all-time records. Would have done it if he stayed an extra year or played better at the end of last year. And he hasn't got that many touchdowns the last 2 years. So literally any receiver that comes in and dominates the team has a really good shot of breaking those records. Quarterback, you got to play 4+ years to get even close to Colt. So don't even try it. Running back, we've had too many good running backs. You might make a top 10 final, but wide receiver is open. That is open for new players to make some records.
I like it.
Yeah, and right now it's start talking about splitting the ball, moving the ball around more. Might be tougher. Like the overall team stats might get up there, but individual might be tough.
Yeah.
All right. We only have you for a couple more minutes, so let's do a quick round robin. Let's make our bold predictions. Who wins each of the Power 4 conferences, and then I want to ask you a question about the Olympics. All right, so let's go around. Who's going to win the SEC this year, Megan?
Oh man, I have to agree with Kyle. I think it's going to be
regular season, and then conference championship.
Yeah, well, I mean, conference championship. I think Texas does well, but I think it's going to be Texas and Georgia in the conference championship. This is a toss-up for me. Depending on how it goes in Austin, I think the other team is going to win in the championship.
Yeah, I can see that. It's hard to beat a team twice.
So I'm gonna say right now, as it sits, I think Texas wins in Austin. I think Georgia wins the SEC championship over Texas
at home.
But I'm
practically
right at home. But I would be happy to switch those two if that were the case too.
And what a better year for that to happen, because 12 teams now in the playoff. So it's not a big deal if we lose the championship game. Not a big deal, folks.
Right.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, right. I have Texas just because it's Texas. So Texas.
All right. ACC. I also say Texas and Georgia split those two. ACC, quickly, just pick a winner. It doesn't have to be one or the other. Just pick a winner. ACC.
Let's do NC State for fun.
Oh, I like it. Out of nowhere, Kyle. All right,
That's what I said was going to shock the nation a couple weeks ago. A couple weeks ago, I'm like, NC State's going to shock the world.
They can do it.
But actually, I'm going with Florida State.
Yeah, it probably will be Florida State.
Megan?
Yeah, I'm going to pick Florida State just because they're in this epic legal battle with the ACC. And I find the irony. I think nothing would be funnier if they're suing their conference and getting
and then winning it. Yeah.
And then winning it. Yeah, that's so again, I'm here for chaos. Give me Florida State.
Okay.
All right.
And they're pissed from last year, so they're going to try extra hard this year.
Right.
I hope so. All right. Big 10. Big 12. Let's do Big 12 next. Quickly, I'll go. I'm going to say Utah comes in and wins it their first year.
That's fair. Kyle,
I got Utah too.
All right. I'm going to come out. I don't know. I think Tech is going to put a good run in this year. I hate to be the one to say that. I know.
I want them to be good.
I love it. I'm just saying, I think Tech is going to put in a good run this year. They don't
name their quarterback.
Yeah, look, like you
don't need a quarterback at Tech. You just find a guy who can throw it. You need wide receivers.
You mentioned this earlier. I mean, Tech has put up some good numbers from time to time, but they're getting there. And I think that, I don't know. I just think now they have behemoths to compete with.
All right.
I think Tech is going to put in a good run.
Okay. All right. Quickly, last one, Big 10. Does Oregon come in and shock the world and take over the Big 10 in the first year? I say no. Ohio State. Kyle?
I say it'll be Ohio State and Oregon in the championship. I don't know which one of the two will play, but yeah, I'll say Oregon.
I like it. Should I say Rutgers just to be different here? No, I have to agree. I think Oregon is going to make a national championship run this year.
Yeah.
And I think that starts with coming into the Big 10. It's hard to see a point where Oregon is weak, right? Like they've consistently built, they've recruited well. They've got a lot good going on for them. So I'm going to take Oregon, which would be shocking. But that game between Oregon and Ohio State is going to be a
and they get Ohio State at home, I think. But I think it's going to be similar to Georgia and Texas.
Yeah.
They get them at home, and then they have to go, to a Big Ten championship game if they make it. I think that travel cross country back and forth is going to be too much.
Yeah.
And I hope it is, because there's a lot of Oregon commits that Texas is still going to be in on to the last second. So, all right, one last question for you, Kyle, before we let you go. Summer Olympics is here. What are your favorite Summer Olympic sports?
Swimming is always fun to watch, and then anything involving a track, any track race.
All right.
Whether it's relay, whether it's the mile, anything. I just like watching them run.
Nice.
And it's just in a circle. You see everything at once. It's nice.
All right. Okay, so 60,000 people already know how to find you. But let everybody know, Kyle, how to find you, where you're at, what other projects you have coming up.
Yeah.
Let us know.
Find me on Twitter. If you just use the Google machine and type in Kyle Umlang, you will literally find everything there's ever been about me, because I'm the only Kyle Umlang in the world. So easy to find. Like they said, I have 3 Aggie Fact books out. An entire treasury, special editions coming out this year. Has 425 facts in it. I'll post about it in a couple weeks. So, and bark.
Sorry, the dogs just came in.
She's excited to support you too.
She
Thanks
said,
so much for having me, guys. I always love being on y'all's podcast. And before I go, I have to leave you with an Aggie fact for the Olympics.
Please do.
Okay. Texas A&M Olympic gold medals won all time, 13. The University of Texas Olympic gold medals won at just the last 2 Olympics, 15. That's a good one for you.
That's
wow. Were they all equestrian? Because apparently, according to the rules, you can't count those.
No, I love it, Kyle.
Me, guys.
We always appreciate you. We'll chat soon, friend.
Yeah.
Keep on keeping on.
See ya.
And thank you, Kyle, for just always being our friend and always supporting us, and we support you, and keep up the great work. Thank you. All right, bye.
See ya.
Bye, guys. It is always so great to have Kyle on. We appreciate it.
All right, Megan, you're not here, but it's happy hour.
Well,
Richard just brought me happy hour, but you're not here.
That's all right. I'll enjoy
Run to
it.
your fridge and grab.
Yeah, I could do that. But
This is, people don't know, this is my favorite glass, and Megan gave it to me.
Yeah.
It weighs like 12 pounds, this glass. When you were moving out of your last house, I'll tell them, when you were moving out of your last house, you were cleaning out a bunch of stuff, and you had this glass, but there was only one left to the set. I think one broke or one was missing or something. And I said, oh, I love that glass so much. And now it's been my favorite glass since you gave it to me.
Listen, it is yours, and it makes me happy that you still use it. I actually am going to bring up something for happy hour today that so my tailgate is sponsored by Corona, right? And Modelo is part of that. Yeah.
Spicy watermelon chilada?
Yeah. So I found this the other day, and I'm not gonna lie, it's good. It's like it's a chilada beer with spicy watermelon. It's quite delightful. So cheers, friends. You got the classy glass, I got the giant tall boy.
Megan's been, of course, Puerto Morelos a few times, and right on the main highway, there's a roundabout that you take to get into our part of town, and right at the huge roundabout where every person has to drive through this roundabout if you're going into town or toward the beach, and there's a restaurant there, a 2-story kind of sports bar, restaurant, music place called Micheladas, and they are, of course, known for their micheladas. They have a huge menu and pizzas and all this stuff, but they're known for their micheladas, and they're like this big, this huge, with all this gooey, sticky stuff all over the top, and people literally pull up in the roundabout, don't even get out of their cars, just like wave, grab micheladas and go. And it is like, that's what they're known for, the micheladas. I don't know if I like micheladas or not, but that's all right. I'll try that watermelon thing sometime. Anyway, Megan, we'll talk about it later, but today's our last live show with TSU, and we'll talk about it later, but just stay with us. Let's talk some Olympics for a few minutes, because, dun, 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 that's the Olympics, right? Dun, dun, right, that's the Olympics. Megan, what's your favorite Olympic sport, and why is it breakdancing?
Yeah, look. We've had this conversation. I don't know that I agree with. Okay, and I'm going to piss off a bunch of breakdancers here, because clearly we have a very high breakdancing,
it's
audience.
Like gymnastics to music.
I'm not disagreeing that it's not an athletic sport. It is difficult to do. I have a buddy that lives in New York that is incredible at breakdancing. It's hard as shit. I could never do it. I just don't know that I'm feeling it in the Olympics, but it doesn't mean that I'm not going to watch it, and I'm not going to pretend to be the most knowledgeable person about breakdancing the second that I watch at least one competition. Right? So, yeah, I think that. What's that?
Go ahead.
Yeah, I think it's going to be a lot of fun there. I don't know, favorite Olympic sport? I've got to say, I love gymnastics. I like watching them just because I feel like it is freaks of nature that go flying through the air by just bouncing on the floor. That's insane to me. I don't know. My brain doesn't comprehend the physics behind gymnastics. So I really enjoy gymnastics. How about you, Rock? I think I have a feeling I know which one, but let me in.
Breakdancing? No, I'm just kidding. I think the thing about breakdancing being in the Olympics is, for so many years, a lot of the sports have been just these elite sports. Like, if you can't private fly your horses to these events, or if you can't afford ridiculous equipment, or if you can't ski in the mountains and Alps, or if you can't do all these really expensive things, then you're running fast and swimming fast is available to a lot of people, but I think it's a sport that is now available to more people. It opens a more dynamic, more culture. It's really going to be an opportunity for people to see hip hop culture at an elite level, because kind of having the conversation we've had before about what is fine art and what is folk art. You can take this beautiful tapestry that takes the whole community of village of people to make in one place, and they call it folk art. And you take that same thing in another place and they call it fine art, right? So we need to bring the barriers between what is art, right? And I feel like this too is opening the doors of culture and inclusion and more opportunity for more people to be Olympians. And this, they're going to have the style and musicality, and because it's going to be like battles. There's going to be a DJ going live.
And is that sport? Is the DJ part of a sport? That's what I don't get. That's where I'm like,
the same way that's kind of like being defense, like giving them a challenge. The same way on an ice rink, like you're judged on your musicality and your presentation and your skill and the level of difficulty, right? Megan, you're gonna watch this. Okay, here's our friend Tanisha. Really, really flawed. Great point, Rocky. Thank you. And we are going to record with Tanisha tonight, and we'll share that info. We're going to talk Texas with her tonight, so that's exciting too. Yeah, girl. I just think it opens the door, gives just educates and exposes people to new things, because not all of us can fly our equestrian horse around the world.
I get it. But again, I'm not disagreeing that it is not a difficult thing to participate in. It takes incredible skill, and I love it. But my argument would be, I'm just not sure that I'm willing to concede that breakdancing belongs as an Olympic sport ahead of baseball, right? And
well,
baseball's
not, but yeah.
But that's what I'm saying. Like, baseball isn't in it this year. They're bringing it back in 2028. Softball is coming back in 2028. So to me, if I had to choose between the two, I feel like baseball and softball are a more sporty type sport to be in the Olympics before breakdancing. But look, I appreciate that we're going to see something new, and it'll be different. It'll be fun to watch. And like I said,
I'm all in. I'm all
just
in.
like I can't wait. Just like I do with a lot of other sports, I think a lot of folks do. You watch something that you've never seen before, and after one show, after one match, you're like, I am an expert on this. Clearly, why didn't they do the triple toe loop? That is obviously a 10-point, right? I'm going to feel like I'm an expert on this.
Oh, I'm excited. It looks so cool. I'm excited. So so this morning, we talked about this earlier. This morning, soccer and rugby are happening. It was pretty cool to see the men's USA go toe-to-toe with France in France, and it was a tie 12-12. It's pool play, so right now there can be a tie. And then a few hours later, they get run out the stadium by Fiji. Oh, well, that's all right. But then people are like, oh, this is amazing on Twitter. Like, I saw rugby for the first time. And then an hour later, they're like, I'm out.
I'm out. This wasn't as fun as I thought it would be.
No, it's pretty good. There's lots of rugby tomorrow again. Of course, the women's soccer are tomorrow. So they get kind of a warm-up match. Let's not be too cocky, but it's against Zambia. So at 2:00 tomorrow, soccer. And then the opening ceremonies are actually live. So you can stream them live at 1:00 on Friday, but then they air them Friday night. That's pretty, typical for them to re-air them later. But did you see who are the flag bearers for the...
You are way more up to this. So tell me who it is, because it'll be fun to see who they are. I want.
So the flag bearers are pretty cool. LeBron James, this is the first time a men's basketball player has even been the flag bearer. So that's pretty cool.
That surprises me.
And he's been to multiple Olympics. Kevin Durant, like that true?
Yeah, not that LeBron is.
But then it's the first time that a men's basketball player
is a flag bearer. It surprises me that a ball player has not been a flag bearer before. That's so
apparently. And then the other story, right. We usually have a male and a female, and the female is Coco Gauff. And the reason that is exciting, one, she's going to be the youngest person to ever carry the flag for the United States, but also she made the 2020 Olympic team. But remember, the Olympics got delayed to 2021. They were Tokyo Olympics, and they got delayed to 2021 with no audience, no crowd, no travel, all those things. But she was tested positive for COVID right before the events and couldn't compete in the Olympics. How heartbreaking when you wait a whole year because of a pandemic, and then you finally get there and you can't compete because you're tested positive for COVID. Yeah. And then you have to wait 3 more years and hope you make the team again.
But the upside is she was so young. She had some time, right?
Yes, but she made it. But anything could happen along those 3 years, Yeah,
I appreciate that. CB brings up Katie is the greatest player in Team USA history. I like it. Certainly no bias coming in there. Certainly no bias.
I don't know. I'm not a massive LeBron lover, but he's giving a pretty good argument right now as leading this team. He saved them from the loss against South Sudan. Yeah. All right. So fair. Women's rugby, yay. Men's soccer, who cares about that? Women's rugby is Sunday is when the women's rugby starts. So go watch the USA. Right now, the women are number 4 in the world, women's sevens rugby. So they have a legit shot of getting a medal. So watch them. They're pretty cool. And they're great on social media. Go find them. And then again, women's soccer against Germany. That's huge. We need to watch that together, Megan. 2:00 on Sunday, women's soccer versus Germany. That's a good one.
I'm down. Now, you had something kind of interesting that I want to bring up. I think it's hilarious. We've seen in the past that the Olympic villages maybe haven't been set up so well, right? Some of the equality hasn't been there. Some of the setups haven't been great. but they always try to shy away from fraternizing, right? You don't want any hanky-panky or crazy things going on. It seems like the Olympics have taken a new step this year. Tell us about that.
Are you talking about the cardboard beds?
Yeah.
They did that last time. They did it last time. So I don't know if they say it's for like anti-sex so that they can't do this on the beds, but the beds are made of like cardboard. You can go to pretty much every athlete on social media or TikTok is showing videos of the beds, but they're literally like pop-out boxes with a crappy mattress on top that's supposed to keep you from being able to be rough to the beds. But
does it just like collapse? Does it collapse?
They're supposed to be not the most stable, but I see people jumping on the beds to show actually they can handle a little.
But also, like, I feel like how do you balance the cardboard structure out when you have Olympic athletes? Again, if you're looking at decathlon guys or you're looking at, I don't know, shot putters, those aren't small humans. They have to be able to get in bed. I'd imagine the force or the weight of one of those guys is probably going to, do they just like get in bed and it just collapses? What happens? I'm so curious.
Not everybody has to stay at the Olympic Village. But
I know. I need to know more about these beds. Are these beds available for like parents to buy for their teenagers? Right? Like,
yeah.
Put it in the room. We'll know if you've been up to something. I just feel like, why? I don't know. It's crazy to me.
I don't know. All right. So starting next Monday, Women's Basketball USA plays. Women's basketball starts. And the biggest event of the entire summer, August 9th and 10th, breakdancing is in. Megan, I'm telling you, we're in.
I love
we're
it.
In.
You're here for it.
So the swag, the USA swag, we know Ralph Lauren does the team stuff every year. And so I always feel like Ralph Lauren is a little hoity-toity snotty, but I guess I don't know. It just doesn't feel like the youth are into the Ralph Lauren. Like they're not going to wear Ralph Lauren any other time of the year, but I guess it's an honor. So when we were in Manhattan last weekend, we went on this tour and they showed us the Ralph Lauren store, and the entire storefront is all the USA team gear in the window. Beautiful, so gorgeous. Like the official team gear is in the window.
Do you like it this year? Do you like the team gear this year?
I love that one that looks like the 80s starter jacket. It's the white track set and it has like a bold band with USA, and it looks like kind of 90s. Kind of a 90s starter jacket / NASCAR looking thing. Love it. What do you think?
I think they're a lot cooler this year. I think Ralph Lauren has certainly dropped the ball from time to time and either goes like too preppy conservative, like, no, Buffy, do you know what time tennis is? You know, like I don't know. I think like it's too much at times, but I think this year it's a lot better than it has been in the past. So Ralph Lauren has been doing Team USA gear since 2008. I thought it was longer than that, but it's been since 2008. But do you remember that phase that they went through where the polo pony, it started off as a small polo pony kind of the thing. And I felt like every year
it got bigger and bigger.
Growing. And I mean, to a point where you thought it was going to be its own piece of flair that was like covering their face. I don't know, man. Like, have they moved away from that? That's all
I don't know. I'm getting my jacket to show you. So this is the official 2016 Team USA jacket, the Brazil team.
Yeah.
I don't remember how I got it, but I have friends who are part of the Olympics. So this is the official Olympic team jacket. That's pretty cool, huh?
That's cool, but I appreciate that it does.
It started to get big here.
Yes. That's what I'm saying.
It started to get bigger because they used to be tiny. Now this
is a small, like dime size logo, and then that was the beginning of the ginormous, like logos taking over.
It got pretty big, yeah.
I feel like Texas did that. Nike, like I feel like Ralph Lauren started that trend with their polo pony just taking over, but it trickled down. I mean, I remember there was some Nike gear with Texas on the polo shirts. Right? The Nike branded polo shirts where the sideline wear where the Longhorn was just like basically from your shoulder to your chest. I'm like, come on, man, like take it down. I love the Longhorn logo as much as the next person, but take it down a notch. That shit's too much.
It should balance a bit.
I say as I have this giant logo sitting.
Oh,
directly-
I love that. I'm glad you propped that up today.
Yeah.
All right. So we've seen, because of thanks to TikTok and mostly TikTok, right? Not so much Twitter, but mostly TikTok. We've seen all the Olympic athletes from all over the world doing these fun trends and showing us unpacking their gear and all the swag they get. And the USA, one of the athletes, I think he's a fencing athlete, he laid out the stuff they got, and it took his whole floor of his room, because they get all their team stuff, like their sports stuff. Then they get all the Olympic gear from Ralph Lauren. They get Olympic gear from Nike. They get all this swag from like Samsung and all these sponsors. They get these flip phones from Samsung that are engraved with the Olympic rings. How cool is that?
Yeah,
So they
look,
I love it.
the swag bags are always awesome. I mean, hell, we talk about it at bowl games. The swag bag at bowl games typically are pretty amazing for Texas players, for other teams. There's some cool stuff in there, but the Olympics takes it above and beyond. I think that's awesome. You're talking about the Olympic rings, like that's such a symbol. That's so important. We mentioned earlier, like it doesn't make sense for me as a fan. I can never imagine getting a tattoo of an opposing team's logo, but like the Olympic rings, that's something you got to get tattooed on, right? Like that's something
On my forehead.
If I was in
I
the
would do it
Olympics,
on my forehead if I was an
it would be
Olympian.
so prominent and obnoxious. Like then at that point, I feel like it would be like the ginormous polo pony, right? That's what I would tattoo, just massive on there. Like it's cool. That's where it's.
I have to say the Olympic rings tattoo is hands down the hottest tattoo anyone can have ever. The Olympic rings tattoo.
Yeah, you're a badass.
And you represented your country.
Right.
Yes. That is the hottest tattoo anyone can have ever. As long as you were like legit, no one would go get that if they weren't an Olympian, right? Or part of an Olympic team, the coach or whatever, part of an Olympic team. Right. Then you can go get that. But there's nothing hotter than an Olympics ring tattoo. Yeah.
Sure.
And also put it where everyone has to say Olympics. Like, put it right
amazing. Right. You got your forget a teardrop tattoo. You got your Olympic ring tattoo on your face. Like,
all right. So before we wrap up the amazing Olympic talk, what stories, what special heartwarming stories of the Olympics are you looking at? Anything that you're like, oh, that's so sweet?
No, I'll be honest. Like I think what I follow more with the Olympics is what are Longhorns doing? Who's competing? Who's representing Texas? Who's representing? I always love that. Now I know this is about the state, not necessarily university, but that graphic where the state of Texas, if it were its own country, would actually be in competition for winning the most medals, among the largest countries, which I think is pretty cool. And the University of Texas holds their own too. We've got a lot of athletes going. I think we talked about it. If I recall correctly, it was 37 athletes and coaches this year. Might have that number
something like that. Yeah,
somewhere in there. But yeah, it's pretty cool to see that there. So that's what I pay more attention to. I don't really get into the heartwarming stuff until I'm watching the event and they do those ESPN tug at your heartstrings, pieces on them.
So
30 for 30 kind of stuff. I know it's not on ESPN, but you know what I'm saying? Like that's what I
NBC. Yeah.
Yeah. Is there one that you have on your mind already?
We saw South Sudan take USA men's basketball to the wire with a 1-point win with LeBron James saving them with 8 seconds left. That team is coached by Royale Ivy, Texas Longhorn Royale Ivy. So that's pretty awesome to have that Longhorn connection. But I think for me, I'm not the biggest tennis fan in the world, but I do follow Rafael Nadal over the years. Like I cheer for him especially on clay. I cheer for Rafael Nadal, and I just always really loved. I love Spain sports and Argentina sports. Everybody who knows me knows I cheer for Spain and Argentina. I have a little soft spot for Nadal. So when Alcaraz, the new up and coming hot Spanish tennis player, who they're releasing all these pictures now, growing up as a child, just like he was able to meet Nadal over the years, and he's this young phenom coming, and now he's winning all these big tournaments around the world. And how cool is it that they're going to be doubles partners in the Olympics? Yeah. Can you imagine just like your lifelong hero, the person who represents your country in sports for 2 decades now, that you grew up worshiping, you get to be his doubles partner?
Yeah, that's incredible, but you better win. Like I can only imagine like what happens if you shit the bed with that, right? The amount of pressure to be playing with your childhood hero.
I don't know if they have to win because it's different. Teaming up with someone, all the timing, all the communication, all the things that go into that. I'm not too stressed about if they're getting gold, but man, I'm going to be watching.
No, it's an interesting storyline for sure.
Yeah, I'm excited about that.
There. No, I love it. Well, all right. So a lot of Olympics going on. We know that started. That's exciting to watch. We know that Rocky is Team USA breakdancing's #1 fan.
I am.
Bringing up all the
and over the next week, I will learn the names of the people who are in the competition.
That's fair. That's fair.
I'm not going to pretend I know who they are now, but I have been following a couple on social media now, and they're excited to expose the world to this really special culture.
No, it's cool. Listen, if you've never watched breakdancing, it's impressive. It really is an impressive feat, but it's going to be fun. The Olympics are always a good time to bring people together. And with all the craziness going on in the world right now, all the people, I feel like this is a great time for the Olympics, just to kind of put the rhetoric aside, put the craziness aside, and let's all just cheer for Team USA for a minute.
Who does that the best? You know who does that the best? Puts all the hate and rhetoric aside? Great Britain. Because the rest of the year, Ireland, Scotland, Wales, England, they are petty AF to each other. They don't like each other often. They make jokes about each other. They're very proud of their borders. When it comes time to the Olympics, all of a sudden they're Great Britain. Come on, y'all.
Let's all be one here.
Go be England. Go be Scotland. Go be Ireland. Go be Wales. Go be Northern Ireland. Why are you all of a sudden Great Britain?
Right. That's
I don't like that. I'm gonna call that out. I'm gonna call that out every time.
That's a fair
point. Have little bitty islands of 8 people sitting in Olympian, and you're gonna try and combine four countries, really, whatever. There's technicalities of Northern Ireland. You're gonna try to combine at least 4 countries into one Great Britain when little bitty islands with 8 people are sitting in Olympian.
I feel like you have some opinions on this.
Come on now, Great Britain. That's why we let talk.
I love it. Well, we've got the Olympics going on. Again, they started today, so we know that's going to be going on. Opening ceremonies are on Friday. We've got a good 3 weeks of coverage, right? 2 weeks of competition. There's going to be Olympics coverage for quite some time. So got to bring up, this time of year is always interesting. We're right before, in that lull, right before football coming on, but MLB's in full swing. We're end of July, early August. You got MLB right in the middle of their season. NBA's right, they're done. NHL is done. Football hasn't started yet. It's kind of that perfect time for the Olympics to come in and occupy us until things go on. MLS is going on. NASCAR is going on.
We were at the game Saturday night.
Right. So if you had to pick like a time of year for sports, what do you think is your favorite time of year?
No question about it. Fall.
Yeah, fall. You're a fall sports girl. Yeah.
Everything else just holds me till we get back to fall.
Yeah, that's fair. So definitely have football coming up. Let's talk a little bit more. We were so grateful to have Kyle Umlang on with us earlier. Talked with him about some Texas predictions, what's going on there. But let's talk a little bit about Texas football. Some news on that front. What's going on? Training camp is literally a week away. They fire up in 1 week with the fall camp coming in. What are you looking forward to seeing with Texas? Are there any things that in your mind, some questions left over from the orange and white game from spring ball? What are you excited to see for Texas as they open up camp?
What I'm most looking forward to, and actually Kyle kind of touched on this a bit, was what I'm looking most forward to, and I think the biggest question mark, at least on offense right now, is who is going to step up to be that 1, 2, and 3 receiver, that X, Y, and Z, right? They're so loaded with first world problems, all that talent, right? All the law firm Cooks, Bolden, Golden, Bond, Wingo. Who's the first receiver that Quinn Ewers mentions at SEC Media Day is Ryan Wingo, and I still can't believe he's here. So we have Ryan Wingo, probably going to be fighting for some good playing time early. I want to see who really separates themselves. And then you still have more in the mix, and there's so much talent. And how are they going to decide? As much as I think Sark has said more people are going to play, the ball will get around more. there's still the people you're going to trust in those key moments, when the game's on the line or start the game on the road or whatever they need, I want to see who separates themselves and really has earned not just Sark's trust, but the timing with Quinn and has been doing the extra throwing and timing with Quinn. So I'm excited to see that. I think that's what I'm most looking forward to on the offensive side of the ball. What about you?
Yeah, look, I think first and foremost, I agree with that. Like, I love the idea of saying we need to figure out who the go-tos are going to be, while Sark is also saying he's going to work in more people into his offense. And in my opinion, that's where Sark's offenses work the best, right? Where you get more guys involved. You don't have to have just one workhorse that is always going to be double, maybe triple teamed. Being able to spread the ball around, I think, is a huge, huge advantage for Sarkisian and for Texas this year. But there's still going to be the guy that comes out, emerges as your go-to guy, the most comfortable, like Quinn Ewers likes throwing to him because he's comfortable. I'm curious who that's going to turn into. But again, you got to remember, during the SEC media days, Coach Saban was actually really, really complimentary of Texas. This surprised me a little bit. I appreciate the commentator, Coach Saban, coming in. He said that Texas, when going up against Sarkisian, that Sarkisian's teams were the hardest team to prep for defensively of any team that he's ever faced. And that's high praise. So we know that the Texas offense is in a really good spot. Of course, we've got returning O-line, a lot of experience there. And I think that's going to be important too, is how does the O-line, we know that the O-line and Quinn Ewers gets along really well at this point. They understand each other. I think we've got enough time with our running backs that are coming in that they have enough time with this O-line to understand how they're going to play out, really be in each other's heads and know what kind of decisions they're going to be making, right? We talked about that with Hayden Connor, how it was important when you've got a new guy in the backfield. You don't always know until you get some time with them. You don't always know which way they're going to, what kind of decisions they're going to make. And that helps when they can be on the same page and understanding each other. Of course, you're always going to be more productive. So I think watching that play out is going to be really important and really nice. But what I'm curious about with that experienced O-line, I'm not so worried about the quarterbacks. I'm not so worried about the running backs. I do think it's going to be interesting to see how they work it out with the receiving core this year. I've said this earlier. I think this year's receiving core, it was kind of nice to hear Kyle back this up independently, but I think this year's receiving core has the potential to be a better all-around core than what we had last year. We know we lost a lot of guys, but we've replaced them with so many solid pieces and a decent amount of experience. I think this is going to be a better wide receiving group than we had as a whole Texas. And I know that's not a small thing to say. So I think that's going to be interesting to see play out. As far as concerns go, do you have any areas that you're like, oh man, this is something that has to change? What are your biggest concerns right now in fall ball that you need to see addressed?
Well, because of all the, you lose Murphy and Sweat, it's not going to be a plug and play with the next lineup. They did a good job in the transfer portal, bringing in talent. We have young guys on the come, but that's going to be the big question mark. I know they've really worked to get pressure from other places, but I'm really going to look to see if they can stop the run. I know the question mark last year was all downfield, the pass, just getting beat on the pass a lot. I trust that they fix that, not only with the transfer portal, but also just the new scheme and getting more pressure that way from the edges. But I'm stopping the run. Because Texas has been so good, top 5, top 3 last year in stopping the run, and especially not just statistically at the overall stats of a game, but when the game is on the line, on the 4th and 1, they would stop the run. I don't know how much that's going to happen this year, so I hope they find more ways to affect the other team's running game. So that's my biggest question. Is last year it was the pass and we saw it, and I trust that they've figured out enough. This year it's going to be, are they going to be able to plug that run stop in the middle? That's what I'm seeing.
Yeah, I mean, to that point too, I do agree that, look at the college football playoff game. We saw Texas had the opportunity to win that game late, and, we didn't get the stop towards the end. Penix was hard to slow down. I mean, he was having a phenomenal game. Of course, I would argue that if Penix played that way all season, like, Washington would have won. He was a different beast against Texas than he was in a few of the other games. But the corners, that was a big question for me. The corners were getting burned kind of out of position. What I saw a lot last year was even hips. You're not in the right position. You're getting beat because you're not putting yourself in the best place to make plays. I agree. I hope that's been addressed. So if I'm going to avoid the obvious, we need to worry about the line answer, I'm still not convinced that we've fixed the corner issues. I know we've got speed out there. I know we've got a little bit more experience, of course. And I think this is really the time for our guys to stand up. But yeah, that secondary is specifically the corners is something that I'm going to be really queuing in on as we get closer to the season starting and see, did those get answered? Because I don't want everybody saying, oh, the run is the only issue. The run is the only issue, right? Like the corners are something that, oh no, we got to be quick. We got to be up there. We got to be in position to make smart plays.
They were ranked pretty high when in SEC media days for, defense and the DBs, were ranked pretty high. I think people are trusting the development of like the young guys like Malik Muhammad, and then they're trusting the transfers that we brought in, like Makuba. So we'll see. We'll see what we get. I have faith in Kwiatkowski's system.
Sure. Trust but verify. Trust but verify. That's all I'm going to say.
Trust but verify. Yes. That last year was rough. There were moments when they really needed them, but also like we talked about before, there's the balance of when you get up big, then teams really have to start throwing on you.
They have to start airing it out. Yeah.
Yeah, they have to start airing it out. So that skewed some of the stats a little bit. Of course, don't give those up, but they did.
Right.
Oh wow. All right. So that's kind of what I'm looking for. All right. What else do you have going on, Megan?
Yeah, no, I just want to talk a little bit. It looks like a lot of the guys have been putting in the work in the off season. We've got some players coming in. Cam Williams coming in at a very svelte. I mean, he's dropped some weight. Looking for the specific numbers here, but yeah, he's down from 369 to 335. So he's putting in a lot of work.
30 something pounds.
Yeah. And so he is listing at 34 pounds lighter, which is impressive. That's a lot of work. Now, on the flip side of that, Quinn Ewers is coming in quite a bit heavier. He's listed now at 210 pounds, and that's up from 195. So he's bulked up a little bit too. I want to ask you about that. Do you feel like with Quinn's style of play, is being a bulkier, bigger player going to help him out? What are your thoughts on that extra 15 pounds on Quinn?
Well, anytime especially a starting QB, when they're slight, they're more prone to injury, right? You want to have that armor on you, right? That muscle, that strength. If we know we trust Torrey Becton. Man, this man is good and he knows his shit. He's going to put him in a healthy position. I think, especially because as the season goes on, they lose weight. They're training harder. They're going all week, every day. They will lose weight over the season. So starting, even if he starts a few pounds heavier than maybe they want him, that's pretty good. What's he at? 6'1", 6'2", Quinn?
Yeah. He's
6'2", 10.
Listed at 6'2", but
he's 6'1", 6. Yeah. I mean, that's pretty solid. 6'1", 210. That's pretty solid. And we know they're putting the right weight on him. He definitely wanted to add a little more armor on his body going into the season, considering the last 2 seasons he's missed games. So it can happen to anybody, any size, but the more you can protect your body and have that strength on you, just gives you a little bit more extra protection. So I 210, 6'1", 6'2", that's real nice.
Yeah,
he's still lean, mobile. He's probably added some speed too.
Yeah, I mean, there's obviously been a huge transformation in his body since he got on the 40 acres. There's no question there. I mean, we even saw it, between his first and second year of playing at Texas. He went from kind of a bigger guy to being maybe a little fluffy, right? Mm-hmm. And he really leaned up, trimmed down for this past season. Now it seems like he's keeping, which I think will help him. We've heard he has been told, I mean, he might not be the fastest white boy in the world, but he can scramble when he needs to. But of course, he's actually been told, the sliding versus the diving. Texas wants him to dive more, which to me feels kind of opposite of what you'd normally hear. But yeah, that's what I'm hearing is like, oh, right. That's the same reaction that I had. Same reaction.
Dive more?
Yeah, because they want him bulked up. They want him, for some reason, I think it reduces the targeting, right? When you're diving versus sliding, you're reducing potential for targeting, which I get. But what are your thoughts on that? It feels kind of opposite to me, right?
I think
sliding is
diving, you're coming in probably with the ball first, face first.
Yeah, it seems backwards, right? But apparently, again, with his style, with his speed and his size, when he's sliding, you're more apt to get hit down low and have your head, which again sounds backwards to me. But I'm wondering if
I guess if you come sliding in, they'd probably fly over you. Whereas if you come in feet first, your head's sticking up, and that's when they take those head hits. I'm sure like there's science that proves that sliding first. And I also feel like you're more at risk for a fumble. If you come in sliding hands first, that ball is loose and exposed.
Right.
But I'd rather fumble the ball than him take a hit to the head. Like, no questions asked. If you had to choose between the risk, take the fumble over a potential hit to a head. Absolutely.
Fair. That's fair. Yeah. So I do think that bulking up has a little bit to do with that too, and his style of play and what we're going to see from this year. I think that's an interesting.
Have they been practicing that slide into contact with huge people in the SEC?
I mean, not.
I don't know.
What are we seeing from Quinn? Has his style significantly changed? What does it look like when he's on the run, when he scrambles? Is he checking down? We know he improved that last year, but still, yeah, I think that's an area that he can improve on as well.
Well, the biggest area we saw last year was the deep ball. So if he can add that in somewhat consistency to this year, oh man, all bets are off. It's going to be good.
Absolutely. Again, Toro with his opinion here, jumping in, big Quinn Ewers supporter. So, all right. So if you have to take, prior to the season or prior to camp starting up, do you have a breakout player in your mind? Who are you looking to be the breakout player of camp this year?
Well, it seems like Ryan Wingo is turning to be the breakout player.
Boy,
and all the reports are, like we said a few minutes ago, he was the first receiver that Quinn mentioned at SEC Media Days. Yes, it's vanilla defense. Yes, the schemes are modified to be more of a good show and keep them safe in the spring game. But wow, he wowed the crowd. The way his mobility, his speed, his hands, like everything just wowed us. And we tried to take that with a little bit of grain of salt because it's a spring game, right? But then all we're hearing off season is Ryan Wingo. And that just, we know Sark will play a freshman if they're worth it and he can trust them like he did with Xavier Worthy. So I'm kind of excited about Ryan Wingo. I don't know if he'll be breakout because he may play because he's so young, garbage time right now, or maybe work his way into a few rotations. But I feel like fourth or fifth game, he might roll out there early.
Yeah, we talk about the offensive genius of Sark a lot. We talk about how he likes to rotate a lot of players. I think he's going to get playing time early. But also part of the conversation with Wingo is the dude is ready to play now. He's got the tools. He's ready to go. He's got the build, and he's got the brain for it, right?
It is a complex system, right? Sark's system is complex.
All accounts, he's ready to be a plug-and-play at this point. Some more experience that comes in before him. But I wouldn't be surprised if Wingo gets early playing time and works his way into that rotation consistently, quickly. I think that's something that's going to happen. Right. So, yeah, I love that. And we know you're a Wingo fan.
I am. So do you have an offensive breakout, or do you want to move to defense? Who do you have?
For me, just overall is actually a defensive guy. I'm thinking for me, I'd really like to see Anthony Hill.
That was going to be mine.
Yeah. Yes. I think this is his year, really. I mean, he played well, but showed some flashes of inconsistency. You were talking, one of the big concerns is stopping the run, right? You're comfortable with the corners. You think that experience there is going to be good. But this is where, to me, Ant Hill can really show up and show out and not just help out with the run. He can also be productive on the edges. He's fast enough. He's got that build. He understands where to be. If he can do that more consistently, that's a big body that moves quick. And he can be a huge difference maker on the defense. So for me, it's going to be Anthony Hill. I know the skill is there. I know the talent's there. I know that the smarts are there. It's, can he be consistent? And can he step up into that role as a leader in his sophomore year, as somebody who is really being consistent and leading the team through and making the plays, consistently when it counts. Anybody else? What are your thoughts?
Yeah, that's what I was thinking too. I also feel like we saw Malik Muhammad really shine, especially the second half of the year, as he was really coming on as a freshman. I have a good, everything's leaning towards him. He didn't even need to play much or at all. I don't remember in the spring game. I just feel like he is really, we've seen him in interviews. We've seen him in media availabilities and, talking with different players. He has his head on right. He is focused. He is smart. He's so committed to the program and developing as a player and as a human. I just invest in Malik Muhammad all the way. I just feel really good about him this year. That would be another breakout on defense. I think not so much breakout because we saw what he can do, but just massive next level up and just stock
building,
increasing their stock big time, Muhammad. And that will be Texas really needs him on that as a cornerback on that to improve the entire DB play.
Nice.
All right,
yeah.
So I have a question for you. We saw that Inside Texas put out a list of the top 10 Longhorn players. And after we read the list, I want to ask you who you think is missing, kind of add to that conversation. They have Kelvin Banks, number 1. And that makes sense because all NFL draft picks have him in the top 5 pick, or for at least first round. Number 2, Quinn Ewers, Isaiah Bond, Alfred Collins, Trey Moore. Number 6, Jahdae Barron, Anthony Hill, who we just talked about. They have Baxter/Blue, Jake Majors, and Baron Sorrell. What do you think about that list, and who do you think is missing?
Look, I think it's fair. I think this is a good list to have out there. I don't know. Trey Moore, that's an interesting. Also, note that Trey changed his number this year. Did you catch that?
No, I didn't catch that.
Yeah, Trey's actually going to be wearing the number 8 that Terrence Brooks left. So
Trey balls like those single digits.
Yeah, he does. He balls like this. And speaking of that too, sorry, this is totally random, but DT Bill Norton is changing to a number 15, which I think is for a defensive tackle. That's an interesting number change.
He's and I'm wondering if it came in a transfer portal, right?
Yes, yeah, from Arizona State, I believe. But Arizona or Arizona State? You're going to catch me lying.
I don't remember.
Yeah, but 15 for a DT. That's an interesting choice. I'm just wondering if we might see
some. Kind of look skinnier with the 1.
Yeah, narrow it down. I'm wondering if we're not going to see some trickery and maybe see a DT come in on offense again. Maybe run a little tight end work with that. 15.
Maybe a little T-Sweat touchdown.
Right.
That would be fun. All right, so
big man, gotta love him, but that's a fair number. I'm not sure right now with proven players on anybody that I would go is glaringly obviously missing from this list. Again, Muhammad, I think he has the argument to be there, but it's that lack of consistency from last year. Again, you hit the nail on the head. He came on really strong at the second part of the season last year, but without that consistency throughout the whole season, I can appreciate why he was left off of top 10 right now. Right? How about you?
Oh, I'm putting Muhammad top 10 player right now. And also, I have to say, I have, like I said, I have Muhammad right now, a top 10 player on the team. And I have to give Jonte Cook a little more love. Where is he in the top 10? Because he's 5-star, not just because he's a 5-star, but he's been in the system. He's, is going to have the timing with Quinn. I think this is going to be a year for Jonte Cook. So his skill level, I would have to put him. And a little sleeper pick, honorable mention, just that one of those glue players that's going to be affecting a lot of the game that's going to go unnoticed. Trey Wisner, I would say if we had the 10 most valuable players on the team, Trey Wisner, right?
He's a utility player.
So valuable to the team.
Absolutely. Yeah. Utility player.
The most valuable list.
That's a slightly different conversation, right? But no, I love that. I think Cook, I agree. Now, who would you take off of this list to put Cook on, though, is my question.
Who would I take off?
Yeah, because if you're talking top 10.
I don't want to diss any of these guys. They're all talented. it's hard to pick the top 10, right? There's so many people deserving. There's a few. I don't know who I'd take off, but I just know who I would put in.
You have the asterisks, right? You'd have the 1A and 1B.
Yeah, I would put Cook and Muhammad in there somehow. It's hard to make this list. Yeah.
Rocky's top 10. That's actually top 15. I like it.
All right.
Got a lot of love for people. That's good.
There's okay. So we'll move. We'll keep moving. There's just so many top stories that we didn't even get to. We'll talk about them another time. No worries. But College Football Focus did put out, we've been talking about the Texas roster and being SEC ready and all that. College Football Focus did put out their preseason top 25. They have Texas number 3. So I would say that's SEC ready, number 3 in the country.
Yeah, it's going to piss a lot of people off, but everything about Texas does, right? So yeah, I can't argue with that. We've mentioned this before. I mean, that feels about right. Texas finished out. We didn't win the first round of the college football playoff, didn't compete for that national championship, but is returning for what we lost and the attrition that we saw specifically on offense. We replaced that pretty, I don't want to say plug and play quite yet, because of course we lost some phenomenal players, but Texas is sitting pretty on offense. I'm not concerned about the offense. Again, defense is really where the question comes in. But at this point in the season, with what Texas has returning, 3 feels right. 3 feels fair. And I hope that Texas sees that, understanding there's going to be a target on their back with everything. We talked about Texas is the villain, right? We're embracing that villain role. So that target's going to be large and ready for Texas. But, I think that's a good place for us to start. How are you feeling about it?
I mean, it's all good talk right now, right? So I always look at these lists and see who's in and who's not. Aggies are not in the top 25 of this list. That's fine, whatever. Oklahoma's at 19. One of the things that stood out to me, Arizona, number 8. All right, let's look out for Arizona this year. That's wild. I mean, I know they finished the season strong last year, but number 8?
Yeah.
Wow. And then Penn State at 10. Oh, sorry, go ahead.
No, that's all right. Go ahead. Penn
I was
State
just
at
going
10.
to say Penn State coming in again, another year, just like Texas every year, coming in with high hopes at number 10. If Franklin doesn't win something big this year, is it make or break? Because coming in with another top 10 team.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like that seat's getting pretty warm out there. You got to know. I mean, Franklin is consistent, but then kind of falls short of the expectations. So
He doesn't win the 2 big games.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely think he's got to put up or shut up at this point. One thing that I wanted to point out too on this list. So again, it's got Georgia as number 1, Ohio State number 2, Texas number 3, Oregon number 4, Ole Miss at number 5. So see, right off the bat, there are 3 SEC teams, including Texas, in that top 5. The thing that I would question a little bit is this conversation around Oregon, right? For all the conversations we have about where Texas was last year, but they only did it because, we only did it because we were in the little 12, the level of competition we were playing. I feel like it would be fair to turn that same degree of criticism onto Oregon, right? Their last year and the now 12, they see more. I feel like that's a fair place for Oregon. I would almost argue that I might put Oregon higher than Texas. I think that is something that you could flip-flop pretty easily. But again, you're talking about the level of competition. I don't know. That's an interesting conversation to have there. What do you think about Oregon being there? And then I have a follow-up with, after that.
Okay. I feel like Oregon has they have stability. They have talent. The team that was best in their conference and ended up playing for the championship that beat Texas was Washington, another team not even in the top 25 on this list. They lost to them twice. So we'll see if they're Big Ten ready if they didn't win the Pac-12 last year. We'll see. They have the talent, they have the coaching staff, they have the consistency with the staff, they have the funding. But I tell you, something about having a cross country every other week or so to play games is no joke. And that's
I think you bring a really good point. You talked about this a little bit. That fatigue that we're the athletes from traveling that far. We talked about this on a previous episode. Look, some of these teams are going to be traveling basically the circumference of the earth. Like that's an insane amount of mileage to travel for a season in sport. And again, that's just one sport. That feels like a crazy amount to athlete to be consistent in school, get their studies in, get their schedule in. I mean, I like that you bring this point up now. How is that fatigue going to affect the teams in the upcoming years, in the upcoming season? How does that really play out? I agree, that's something to take a look at. Another team
wear on them.
Yeah, another team that I did want to point out and talk about briefly, because I do want to talk a little bit of Texas baseball before we get off of the air. But Michigan on this list is the preseason football focus preseason top 25. They've got Michigan dropped all the way down to 15. Now, I know you and I have debated a little bit about this Michigan team as Texas has to go into Ann Arbor and play. How do you feel about Michigan at number 15?
Their defense alone is going to be a top 5 defense in the country. All their question marks right now are going to be on offense, but they still return enough. That's why
You think that's an insult to have the national champion down at 15?
I think that's fair. I mean, they have the national championship runner-up not even on this list, and that's fair because they lost everyone, including the entire coaching staff, and all their best players are all gone off to the NFL or transferred out or whatever. But so that's fair. 10 to 15 would have been fine with me, but I would put them closer to 10 than 15 though, because they are loaded on defense. Loaded. It's going to be no joke when Texas goes in there with the high-powered offense, which with only one game under their belts, going into Michigan, and then Michigan returning so many NFL caliber starting defenders. It's not going to be some rollover game for.
I'm taking it.
It's going to be, can we stop the run on Michigan? That is going to define that game, and I'm going to keep saying it. Can we stop Michigan's run? That will define the game.
That's fair. But I'm not taking Michigan lightly. We should not take Michigan lightly. It's going to be a crazy game. Going to be a lot of fun. But losing all of your coaching staff, the consistency there. If you don't have a strong captain, if you don't have your leaders there, I think 15 feels right to me. I know it looks a little disrespectful, but I think it's earned because of how much they lost. And I'm not just talking talent-wise. We're talking coaching-wise. It is hard to stay at that elite level when you're rebuilding that whole coaching staff. All right, real quick. We only have a minute, and I did want to bring this up. Still, Texas baseball doing some fun things. Wanted to give a quick shout out to some of the players. Again, LBJ was drafted by the Rockies and will be playing for them. Shout out to Colorado teams, by the way. Feels like Denver is rapidly becoming the University of Texas at Denver out there with the Broncos and now the Rockies.
Denver Broncos too.
Right, that's what I'm saying. The Broncos and the Rockies pulling in.
Awesome.
A lot of Longhorns. That's great to Jalen has signed. Yeah, Tanner Witt has signed with the Mets. Let me see who else. We've got Gage Boehm just signed with Seattle. Now Texas had a signee, Kyle DeGroat, that had signed with Texas, but actually has decided to start his pro career with the Royals before seeing the field on the 40. So we wish him a bunch of luck too.
Good luck. Go
absolutely. Yeah, that's pretty amazing that you can get drafted early enough to go straight pro. Now, returning for Texas, which is really exciting. We've got Max Ballou, Jay Flo, like we've talked about, Will Gasparino, Ryan Galvan, Casey Borba, and Shoes. The Shoes is loose. He's coming back. So as a former A&M player, transferred to Texas for this past season, and he's returning to Texas for that rivalry. That's going to be an interesting welcome home for him at Olsen Field for sure. And Texas has picked up a few players. We have some signees. Again, Schloss wasting no time. We've got Drew Rarick, who actually was in the draft but withdrew his name. So he is going to play for Texas, which is a big deal. Easton Winfield, Ethan Mendoza, and also, sorry, I'm blasting through these guys. I know we're towards the end here. Grayson Saunier side, he is an Ole Miss transfer, so he's going to come in and help Texas pretty immediately. And then a South Carolina transfer, Connor McCreary, committed to Texas. So Texas did lose a lot of players here. We knew there was going to be some fallout, some attrition, and some changes with that coaching staff changing. But again, Schloss & Co. is a lot less, absolutely no time. They hit the ground running. and has really pulled in some impressive people for Texas. One thing, and we'll talk about this more. We'll talk about it a little bit later on a different episode, but a weakness of Texas last year was the bullpen, was their pitching staff, right? We had a few guys that were go-tos, but wasn't a lot of consistency. And I'm going to say, if I have to pick one big change for Texas baseball this year, that's going to be immediately noticeable. I think that our pitching is actually going to be a strength for Texas this year. It's a massive swing, a massive jump from last year to this year. So really excited to see how that develops. We got a lot of time for baseball, but again, wanted to bring that up before we got too far.
Good job. Way to fly through it in 1 minute.
Yeah, look at that. I can do this quickly when I need to.
All right. So, CB, thank you. Great job on TSU, ladies. Keep up the great work. That's a good time to wrap up and kind of give our a little announcement. We kind of made it earlier. We touched on it again. Today is our last live episode with Texas Sports Unfiltered. We love BK. We love the crew. Nothing but love. Everything's great. We just want to do something a little more independent, and we're still going to be available to jump in on conversations with TSU and join them for fun group talks or whenever they need a voice to help cover a slot. We got you. We will still be part of the TSU family. We just want to do a little bit more independent stuff, especially with the football season coming. Tell Megan what we have going on for the fall.
Yeah, so again, guys, with our travel schedules and us being around a little bit, we will be on YouTube. You can find us there. We'll be live on Thursdays, pregame, and of course, we'll have our recap with our podcast, broadcast, and guests the following weeks on Mondays. So we appreciate y'all. Again, thank you, TSU, for the opportunity. We appreciate being a part of the family and appreciate being here. And we look forward to seeing everybody out there. Football is up close. We still got a lot of Longhorn sports to talk. So we thank everybody for being here and being with us, as always, for sure. Rocky, tell me, before we leave, what do you got going on this weekend? You're jet setting again, aren't you?
I was going to say, make sure you follow at Fire the Cannon 1 on Twitter, and then Rocky Knows Best and Texas Fancy Boots, because we will be posting. We're going to actually take the next couple weeks off. We're working on our new platform kind of space. We have our podcast. We're going to be working on a little bit more video YouTube stuff. So we'll be setting that up over the next couple weeks to be ready for football season. I'm headed to Ireland on Monday. I'm headed to Ireland for 2 weeks. I'll be gone. My daughter's playing rugby all over Ireland. So I'm going to go cheer for her. We're going to go cheer for her. So that's kind of a perfect break time for us, which is why it was today. So perfect break time for us. But yeah, so follow us, make sure and thank you to our friends at TSU, Tech Sports Unfiltered. They will also be helping to promote each other. We'll be sharing each other. Megan, what do you have this weekend?
Yeah, again, be sure, guys, like and subscribe, Texas Sports Unfiltered. We'll have the new YouTube channel out for Fire the Cannon soon. We'll release that on our socials. This weekend, really, it's going to be more taking care of the Longhorns, making sure they're settled in at their new place, which we have some fun opportunities with that as well. If you want to come check out, hang out with the Longhorns and rent out a really badass Texas cabin, we will have some of that information for you soon. But yeah, it's going to be catching up and doing a lot of domestic stuff before I hit the ground running with some work things. So we appreciate
I was going to say, tonight we're recording with Really Flawed on YouTube. Our friend Tanisha, she's amazing. She does great work, sports talk. So we will share that when that episode is up and out, and so much going on.
Love it. All right. We appreciate y'all. As always, I'm Megan.
I'm Rocky.
And we are Fire the Cannon, y'all. We'll see you around. All right. Take care.